Hello folks, I hope you're well. I hope you're having I hope you've had a good weekend and that you'll have a fantastic week ahead. And yes, but this particular video will be on the issue of detail matters. Well, every little detail matters, really, that's the point. Even the smallest. I've watched programs like Grand Designs a lot. And what you'll see in that is quite often when they get the tiniest of details wrong, the tiniest of measurements wrong, it can completely muck things up. It can completely muck up certainly the timing and how long things are going to take. It's a major pain in the butt. They've got to do this and that and 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 this and that. Especially if their house is or the building is made partly of steel, they've got to make sure the measurements are exact. Absolutely and totally exact. If not, they have major problems. When it's time for the windows, they've got to make sure that the hole for the windows is exactly the right size for the windows, and also that the people who made the windows understand the measurements and have got those right. Because once those windows turn up, if there's one or two that don't fit, that can cause a huge problem again. Detail. If details matter so much with regards to these sort of things, details matter so much to everything in life. Everything. So why not everything to do with relationship with God? The reality is detail matters. Every little detail matters. Getting it right matters. And yeah, that's why we need good, solid teaching in church. We need people who are going to teach according to the wills and ways of God, not according to Bible college. While a Bible college has taught them how they should teach. That is very much of this world. And again, the reason why is quite simple. I was just speaking to someone on Friday about this. Truth of the matter is, it would be impossible, absolutely impossible, for Bible college to teach each and every person individually and independently. Couldn't be done. You couldn't teach people based upon who they are as a person and the area they're going to. You couldn't do that. Not in a Bible college. You would need to have as many instructors, as many teachers as you would students, and that just won't be cost effective. A Bible college is going to be run very, very similarly to worldly colleges. You will have your tutor, whatever they want to call it in the Bible college, but it'll be the same thing. You'll have that person, and you'll have your students, and you'll have your syllabus that you're going to cover for that period. And it won't change. Generally speaking, most Bible colleges in Europe will do things exactly the same way. That may even stretch to America. Because what will happen is, as I said before, you have that situation. If you are a leader in a church, or if you're in the church leadership, you are going to want to get a pastor. If you're doing things according to that way, you're going to want to get a pastor who is trained the same way as the majority of other pastors in the world. Why? Insurance. It's an insurance policy. If something goes wrong, you can't be blamed because you've done things according to the same system that every other church is doing things. You did the best you could to safeguard the situation because you went according to how everyone else is doing things. If you go out on your own, as I say, this is why it's incredibly risky for a church to do things according to God's will and God's ways. Because when it comes down to it, there's risk. There's always risk. That's why detail matters. That's why if you're going to do that, you've got to get detail, and you've got to be willing to take notice of detail. Well, because all those things in the Word of God that don't seem to be working in the church, they're not working because detail is missing. Whatever that detail is missing. There are important detail with regards to those scriptures where the understanding of those scriptures is missing. And part of the reason why it's missing is because people don't care. They don't care enough. They care about going through the motions. And that's true. In most churches, they care about going through the motions. I was telling the pastor of the Community Church of God, the Pentecostal church, about the young lady in, I believe, actually I'm not really sure which church it was in. I don't honestly know which church it was in. It could have been Green Street Baptist Church in Gillingham, Kent, in England. It could have been that one. It could have been Boscombe Baptist Church in Dorset, in Kent. Well, not in Kent, sorry, in Dorset, in England. It could have been that one. Don't know. It was a church that I've been going to, and there was a young lady who had had an ear infection for a long time from swimming. And her ear had been painful. She had had over 100 people praying for her. 100 people who had just gone through the motions. Didn't care in any way, shape or form as to whether this young lady would be healed or not. Because she wasn't. After 100 people had prayed for her, she didn't want anyone else to pray for her. Because it had damaged her faith. If any of those 100 people had actually gone to God first and waited on God before laying hands upon this poor young lady, that would have been one person less. Or at least she would have been healed because God would have told that person what to do. Because again, if you are the 99th person praying for this lady, you've got to understand that maybe this lady's faith has been damaged by all these people praying for her and nothing happening. So, yeah, you've got to undo some of that first, right? But not if you don't care. This is very, very common in church. People doing the minimum. People doing things because they want people to think that they're good rather than because details are missing. So again, there's that point. If in church, if the teacher was teaching people in church that praying massive Hollywood prayers, these charismatic Hollywood prayers that go on for ages and ages and ages, but make it impossible for you to agree with what the person has been praying for because you can't remember what they prayed for, that those prayers are worthless and useless, and they're about the person praying, not about anything else. If the teacher is teaching that and people understand that, they will stop doing that. They will learn. And the people that do that will stop doing it. They will have some degree of understanding, won't they? And if you teach people, do not pray unless God has given you something to pray for. If God has told you to pray for something, it means He's going to do it. So if you are someone who doesn't pray Unless God's going to do something, when you do pray, people are going to agree with you, aren't they? They're going to come in agreement with that because they know that God's going to do it. Right? It's about all these little details are going to be there. We've got to get the details right. All these details that we're missing are leading us onto the wrong path and have led us onto wrong paths. This whole point about not wanting to offend people is ridiculous. Help people first of all to understand how to deal with offence, and then just speak truth. People will get offended, but if you understand, if you get offended by someone, it's because you're in darkness and God is trying to help you to understand something, then okay, you won't make a big issue out of it. You'll go to God to deal with that, won't you? Because that's what you should do. And so therefore, again, if the teacher is helping you to learn, then you'll learn. Yeah, I mean, so if you understand that point, that to be offended by something, it means that obviously something that was said is either true or very, very close to truth, and so it bothered you, right? Because obviously if someone says something that's absolutely stupid, how stupid would it have to be for you to get offended by that? For you to be bothered and for you to make that thing that that person said affect your life, when what that person said was absolutely stupid. Why on earth would you be bothered by that? It's insane, isn't it, really? But it's all to do with detail and the lack of training and lack of understanding people have, and what they don't understand is God's will, God's ways in those areas. They understand the world's will and the world's ways, and that's why they've been chosen that, because they've not been offered the other side. They've not been offered understanding of God's will and God's ways in those issues. Only the world's way. Very easy for people to take one side if they've only been offered one side. And so there you go. That's why we need better teachers. So anyway, there you go. Do something about it. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Be a blessing. Be blessed. Bye.